What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty behind the camera from Ty Drives, and this is the 2023 Audi Q5, particularly in the 45 powertrain with the Premium Plus trim level. And we're ready to discuss all of the features starting on the outside and working our way under the hood. We'll also discuss what is in the trunk space and then also into the interior, starting with the rear seats up to the front seats. We discuss all of the features in between all of those sectors there. And you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video, because I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head and we're going to take this particular vehicle for a little test drive. So getting straight into it, let's check out all of the exterior features first, particularly with the headlamps. So full LED units for 2023, just a couple of smaller updates on the 2023 model, and we'll kind of discuss those. One being the headlamps, so full LED headlamps as standard for this year. As you can see, LED fog LED daytime running lights, turn signals, high and low beams, so everything is all powered by LED bulbs. The 45 S-Line powertrain and sort of styling package gives you a little bit more of an aggressive front end. You can see with that sort of upright surround to the sensors. Two sensors in that little surround there, one for the adaptive cruise control, which now comes standard on a lesser trim level, the Premium Plus, than before. And we also have parking sensors that span the front bumper. One of the front cameras, one of four cameras, I should say, two for the 360 view. Nice big Audi single frame grille too. Really nice new color for 2023. This is Chronos Gray. You could previously get it on the Q3 and the TT and things like that, but it's a really nice sort of metallic gray, but it also has this sort of brown hint to it. Really neat color. Nice hood. We have some nice creases towards the edges too, and pretty cool wheels. Nice metallic work in the wheels too. So we have the sort of machined finish to the face of the wheel, and then a really metallic gray pockets in the center. 235/55 are the tire size, and all of the surroundings to the wheel and the cladding is all body colored, so it gives it that sort of nice, sleek, streamlined look. We do have silver accents towards the bottom, painted silver, and the chrome around the windows. So sort of a bright styling package. You could also get a black optic package with this car, which blacks out a lot of those elements. Nice mirrors, heated and power folding on the Premium Plus. We have the blind spot monitoring on the inside and also the LED turn signals. We have smart key entry on all four of the door handles. You just tap this little pad to lock and then hand behind the handle to unlock. And that's the same with the rear doors too. So nice that they give you on all four doors. As you can see, this particular model, we have the 45 powertrain, S-Line package with a Premium Plus trim level, navigation package, warm weather package. So this is pretty well equipped, and this sticker's just under $57,000. Taking a look out back, we have the same wheel and tire setup and really nice proportions towards the rear. We have the nice load bars on the sides there. Well, I shouldn't say load bars, but the roof rails and the shark fin antenna, panoramic sunroof up there. Nice big spoiler with some extensions to the side, third wiper, and back here full LED tail lamps with the dynamic turn signals. So everything is LED back here as well as up front. So the brake lights, tail lights, turn signals, everything is LED powered. We have a nice accent bar going below the Audi rings and the Q5 badging, the Quattro badging on the other side. Rear fog lamps back here too, and the reverse lamps are on this sort of lower lamp in the bumper. Parking sensors back here too, and sort of these faux exhaust tips. So they look real, but they aren't. The real exhaust tips are up underneath. Reversing camera, trunk release right underneath the Audi rings too. You can see that Quattro badge. Of course, Quattro all-wheel drive comes standard on the Q5. So, styling cues on the Q5. What do we think? Let me know in the comments. So, when shopping for a Q5, as far as the powertrains go, we have three different ones, and I'll entail each one. First is the what Audi calls as the 40 powertrain, which is a 2-liter turbocharged i4, just like the other 3 engines, but this one produces 201 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque. The next one we have, Audi calls the 45, which is this particular car, 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. We also have a 55, which is a plug-in hybrid, which is the same 2-liter turbo that we have here in this particular car with the addition of an electric motor. That produces 362 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty healthy numbers. Now, if you want even more power than all of those with a 3-liter turbocharged V6, you can also get the SQ5, but we're going to save that car for a separate video. All motors will get hooked up to a 7-speed dual clutch. All motors with the 2-liter turbo at least will have that 7-speed dual clutch, and they'll all have quattro all-wheel drive as standard. All right, let's take a look at the rear quarters of the Q5. We have a clamshell liftgate, meaning we have the maximum amount of space to load your items in. And once your items are in, take a look at how much room we have inside of the trunk. So pretty good amount of space. We can even fold the rear seats. Default 60-40 split, but you can also have that center ski hatch folded down too, and I'll show you how to do that once we get into the back seats. You can fold the rear seats down with these little levers to either side. We have grocery bag hangers, nice light bars over here, the cargo privacy shade, which is nice. We also have extensions to either side, little nets right here to keep various things like your little wheel lock kit in place. We have all-weather floor mats back here, and all Q5s for 23 will come with crossbars, which is very nice. Usually an accessory on lots of cars comes free to you with the Q5. Another extension off to this side with some netting. We have cargo tie downs, as you see. And if we open up the load floor back here, we have an inflatable spare tire. More illumination up top, the ability to lock and close the trunk, or just lock it. Alrighty, let's start off things with the interior with the rear cabin. Now, quite a bit of amenities on the Premium Plus. We have this nice window shade, which is part of the warm weather package. Very nice to keep the sun off you. And a black leather interior, a few different color choices available, including a gray, a tan, and also a brown. Very nice sort of lighter wood trim on the inside and contrast stitching. Very nice materials on the door, soft touch all the way up here. Leatherette and a sort of harder touch down here. Bang & Olufsen speakers are now standard for the Premium Plus trim level, which is very nice. And a pretty large storage tray back here. Very nice seats, different leather, very higher grade leather comes with the warm weather package. You can see we have all deviations in the seats and the contrast stitching like you saw on the door. To fold the rear seats flat, you just pull this handle here and they will kind of click into place. Once you do that, it's kind of a two-hand process rather to do that. So I can't really do that while I'm on camera, but you can just trust me, it's there. To fold down the center pass-through, you have a little button right next to the center armrest. That'll fold down like so. And speaking of center things, a center armrest with some cup holders. That'll also click into space, which is pretty neat. You can see the size of the panoramic roof, which we'll open it up in just a bit, see how large it is, see what it looks like with it open. And sitting behind myself, I'm about 5'10". I have a couple of inches of legroom, so not bad back here. Plenty of room to stretch out to, so width-wise, it does very well as you would expect for a mid-size SUV like this. We have lights back here to tap on and off, and also some grab handles and coat hooks. And it's pretty roomy back here too. The only downfall I would say of this vehicle is the only way to get heated rear seats is to get the top trim level Prestige. But you do get your own sort of temperature on an LCD display when the car is turned on. You have 2 USB charging inlets and a 12-volt power outlet. If you'd like to have a third person back here, it's definitely possible. They may not be too comfortable, but there is definitely enough room to have a third passenger back here for smaller trips. And at this point, hop out of the rear and into the front. Very solid sounding doors, as you'd expect on any Audi when you close them. Materials are same up front, and design pretty much carries over too. We just have a few more buttons. They lock, unlock the memory for the driver's seat, 2-person. You can see we have all of our mirror controls, the power folding and heated. We also have powered door locks for the children back there. We have a trunk release, another speaker for the Bang & Olufsen sound system, and a pretty large storage tray. Left of the dash, we have all of our headlight controls and front and rear fog lights, as well as your gauge dimmer. The steering column is powered with this little button here, so you can tilt and telescope the steering wheel. We also have our pedals down here and the hood release off to the left. Very nice seats. You get sort of this sport fashion seats when you option on the warm weather package. The headrests are 4-way in and out. You also have leg extensions in and out, of course. And 4-way lumbar in addition to the rest of your seating controls. And at this point, we can hop in and check out the rest of the driver's cockpit. Alrighty, so here's the key fob for the Q5, fairly traditional Audi key fob. You have a nice little design on the back. Lock, unlock, trunk release, panic alarm, and we have these 2 little tabs to either side to release the physical key in case you need that. Nice little slot right here in the center console for your key, and we have push button ignition right down here. So let's take a look at what's right in front of us here. It's the steering wheel, nicely leather wrapped with the stitching on the inside. We have all of your virtual cockpit controls right on the left side of the steering wheel. We have our heated steering wheel control to the right, Bluetooth telephone, voice commands, skipping, and volume for the radio as well. We also have paddle shifters to the rear of the steering wheel, obviously mounted to the steering wheel, and a couple of stalks behind the steering wheel. We have the wipers, automatic high beams, and also a quick button to shut off your lane keeping assist at the end of that stalk. And we also have all of your adaptive cruise control functionalities on the lower. And to this one, we have the front and rear wiper controls. Alrighty, virtual cockpit time. So again, we're going to use all of these buttons to control the virtual cockpit and kind of keep an eye on what button I'm pressing to control the screen up there. So this is basically your main sort of vehicle information in the center. Now, at any time, we could press view and get a larger display in the center, and sort of the rev counter and speedometer will shrink. We can go down to see our average and real-time consumption, trip A and trip B sort of deals, energy consumption screen, your driver's assistance, which we're going to leave on during our test drive, so you can see how that works with the lane keep and distance warning and things like that. And then we also have a traffic sign functionality there too. We have our radio screen here, which we can scroll through different radio stations, and then once that settles, sort of what song playing and everything will go in the center. We have our phone screen and the famed navigation screen. And again, at any point, you can just try and press view, and the screen will shrink in the center. On the upper dash, we have a nice soft to the touch material, and that brings me over to the main MMI screen. So, touchscreen, of course, and we have the sort of main menus to the sides as shortcuts, and sort of 2 different main menus that you can play with. So you have a jumbellation here of what your radio, telephone, and navigation is doing. And then if you scroll over, that's just kind of all of the apps that this vehicle comes with. You can also swipe from the top, get your garage door openers synced up through the screen, and also your audio settings. You can configure through the center here. Very nice speakers, the Bang & Olufsen speakers. They used to be like a $950 option on the Premium Plus trim level. Definitely worth it for the money. Such a great audio system. And we'll kind of just go through some of the screens really quick, such as your audio. We have the different sources over here and favorites. We have our media screen, which won't show a whole lot because our phone isn't plugged in. Same with the phone screen. We also have navigation built in on this particular vehicle, and a very nice map, and you can input your destinations right there or through the voice commands. We have phone apps, which when you connect your phone to the Bluetooth or also with a cord, it has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, or you can also plug in to have the wired CarPlay and Android Auto, which to me seems to work better on all vehicles. But when that is active, you just press that screen right there and it'll pull up to the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. We have the vehicle information here, such as your drive select. We have a couple of different modes: off-road, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. And once you're in the individual, you can customize a few different things. Going back, we have the seat adjustments and things like that, you know, various different adjustments, lighting controls and driver's assistance. You can turn various things on and off within the driver's assistance systems in this vehicle. We have settings and service reminders and things like that within this screen. Favorites and your sort of vehicle general settings that you can go through, sound settings, displays and brightness, things like that, that you could customize when you get the vehicle. And on the next page, you can sort of set up different users. So say you and your wife are using the vehicle, you can have user number 1, user number 2, and they could sort of set up all of their different sort of settings to their liking. That pretty much does it for a quick rundown of the screen. You can definitely get more in depth, but for the time's sake of this video, we'll keep it nice and short. Right between the two air vents in the center, we have the hazards button. Nice panel of wood that goes across to the passenger area. Very simple 3-zone climate control for this vehicle. You know, all the Q5s, even the A4s and A5s will have this same sort of setup for the climate control. Heated seats as well as cooled seats for both the driver and passenger. We have the defrosters recirculating off, and then sort of these sort of touch sensitive controls in the center. So you kind of just rest your finger on the control and it'll sort of tell you what you can customize, and you can actually click and then it will customize. You can also set what's going on in the rear from the front too, and your temperatures either side there. Quick drive mode select right here, and you can also turn a couple of things on and off, such as your auto start stop, your traction control, and your parking sensors and parking camera. Speaking of which, we'll go through that now. So if you press that button, all of your cameras will pop up, and you have different views for your 4 cameras around the vehicle. So this is a front wide angle view, and then you can also get a sort of normal front view with the guidance lines, you know, a top-down view, and then that'll kind of switch to your parking sensors. You have a rear view and a wide-angle rear view, as well as your front and rear wheels. So pretty intuitive camera system for a vehicle in this class. You know, Audi also has much more advanced camera systems, but those will come on the sort of more higher-end vehicles, such as the Q7, Q8, things like that. We have a hill descent control and the ability to turn the upper screen on and off for those of you old-school people like me who thinks these screens are a big distraction and would like to drive with them turned off. We have a little storage pad over here with a USB inlet and a 12-volt power outlet. We have lots of gloss black down here and a little bit of wood. 7-speed dual clutch transmission, like I said before. You can switch straight down into drive and straight up into reverse, in which your cameras will pop up. And then a little P for park. You can also, once you're in drive, actually let's do that again. So we're in drive, we could bump it down once like so, and that'll put the transmission into a sport mode. And then from there, you can also bump it over and put it into a manual mode, so you can switch down here or with the paddle shifters up on the steering wheel, which is pretty cool. Press the P for park. Electronic parking brake. And sort of a little bit of a redesign here for the 23 model year. You know, past Q5s used to have this sort of slider, which was either a storage tray or a wireless phone charger, depending on what trim package you get, but that is now gone, and you simply just have cup holders and a little bit of storage in the center console with a USB-C inlet. Again, very nice seats on this vehicle, part of the warm weather package. And in the passengers area, we have some nice visors up here you can take a look at with a light and mirror. They also have a lockable glove box. Plenty of storage in there. It's all felt lined with a pen holder and a illumination. Auto dimming rear view mirror alongside with the side mirrors are also auto dimming. See, we have LED illumination up here. Controls for your power sunshade for the panoramic sunroof, and also some lighting controls, SOS, and things like that. Two separate controls up here too for the sunshade and sunroof. And once you have the sunshade open, you can either slide or tilt the sunroof. So very nice panoramic sunroof system, very large, lets in a lot of light and kind of airs up the interior. And that pretty much does it for the interior on the Q5. There's lots of features on this particular vehicle, and each model year they just seem to keep adding standard equipment, which is very nice. Let's get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Alrighty, so let's take this Q5 out for a drive. Now, little overview of what this test drive is going to look like here. So we're going to go onto the dead end down here, and we're going to sort of see what the turning circle is like for those of you viewers who live in the city or travel to the city often. I think that's a pretty worthy test for you guys. We're also going to switch between, I think we're going to use comfort and dynamic for this drive, and I'll kind of let you guys know when I switch at according times. But yeah, a little bit more about the test drive route. We're gonna get it out onto a sort of main road after this dead end, and we'll get it up to, you know, 45, 50 miles an hour. We'll see what it's like at that speed, kind of check out, you know, the tire noise, wind noise, and suspension feel. We'll then get it out onto a back road, and that first turn onto a back road is nice straight and has a little bit of an incline. That's where I like to test out the acceleration, so kind of leave it, put the transmission into the sport mode, but still keeping it automatic because I like to see how the transmission would react to throttle inputs. Very good turning circle, by the way, so that's good if you live in the city and do lots of parallel parking or anything like that, or just maybe live at a dead end road too. Never even thought of that one, even though I say dead end all the time. But yeah, well, the back road also includes lots of corners and bumpy roads and things like that, so we'll really get a good test of how this Q5 handles the New England back roads. I'm gonna kind of keep it into comfort mode up until we get to that acceleration part. Then we'll drop it into dynamic. And let's see, turn on the lane keep assist, and we'll kind of do a little demo there. It's picking up the lines as green. When the lanes are picked up, they will turn green, and when the lanes are detected, you know, you're going over the lanes, they will turn red and sort of gently steer you back into the lane. You also get a slight vibration in the steering wheel, almost like you're going over sort of rumble strips on the highway or anything like that, just to kind of alert you to get back over. And if you don't do it before the car does, you know, obviously the car will take over and put you over into the into the correct lane. For some reason, this car has a manually set speed limiter. You know, it doesn't really limit the speed, but it just kind of comes up as a warning when you surpass that specific speed. I'm not quite sure why this car has it on, but so when we exceed 45 miles an hour, that little warning will come up. Just a little FYI. Kind of strange. All right, so popped it in dynamic mode. We'll take a right onto this street here, get it up to 25 miles an hour, kind of punch the throttle, see what the transmission does, and also see how fast we can get up to speed. Yeah, so pretty impressive acceleration from the Q5. Now again, 3 different engine options for the Q5. We have the mid-range motor. Still 261 horsepower, you know, in a car of this size is no joke. I mean, I think this 0 to 60 is in the mid 5 seconds range. So that's pretty quick. You know, this car's definitely no slouch. Very interested to see how the smaller power output Q5 will handle that test. Now, I've driven an A4 and an A5 with that same powertrain. It's about 201 horsepower, and they are pretty good. You know, I think the 0 to 60 is in the mid 6 range, which again isn't a slouch, but the Q5 adds some more weight, so I'd be very interested to see how that drives. And as soon as we get one in, I'm going to try to do a video on one. You know, we'll do more of a basic optioned Q5 with the basic engine, and we'll see what that looks like with the features, and we'll also see what it's like on the road. So definitely check my channel back for one of those. Yeah, plenty of horsepower with this 45 S-line engine option here. 273 pound-feet of torque too. That's some pretty good numbers out of a 4-cylinder. You know, the ride quality seems to be very comfortable at first glance. And I'll take another right here, and there's a pretty good corner here. So we'll see what we could do in the handling department. You know, I'm not going to throw it into the corner or anything like that, since it is a SUV, but at least we'll get a good idea of how it handles the corner. Yeah, really not bad. Usually take that corner at 25 miles an hour, but 30, even with the Q5 is no problem. Doesn't seem to have an over excessive amount of body roll or anything like that. That being said, we are entering the most rough and undulated part of the test drive. This part of the road is not very well taken care of, but that does benefit us, so we know how the Q5 rides even on the bumpiest of roads. And so far, it's very comfortable. Yeah, absolutely no complaints here in the ride department. It's just a very comfortable SUV. Now, this Q5 has a normal suspension setup, and so will the rest of them. However, if you step up to the SQ5, that's where you can get adaptive air suspension, which is a pretty neat option in this class. So yeah, as far as the ride goes, supremely comfortable. Really, you can kind of hear the bumps, but you really can't feel them. And that kind of brings me into the noises. On our 45 to 50 mile an hour test, which we were just on that straight road back there, not a lot of noise, not a lot of wind noise or tire noise. Pretty large mirrors, really don't obstruct any view or make any noise when you're up at the higher speeds. Which is very good, and pretty quiet tires. You do get a little bit of a rolling noise from the tires, but it's a very muted sound. Very, very good noise insulation on the Q5. And as you can hear the cars passing us, you really don't hear them all that much. It's just a very quiet ride in the Q5, and even full throttle, you know, you really, I mean, you definitely hear the engine, but it's really not very loud. A pretty quiet driving experience. And once you put it in the comfort mode, you know, the throttle input is very relaxed, the steering is nice and light, and in opposition, when you put it into the dynamic mode, you know, the throttle inputs are more sharp, and the steering weightens up just a tad. It's not very heavy at all, but it's still on the lighter side, but you can definitely notice a difference. We'll give it one more half throttle. It wasn't quite half throttle, but as you can see, the turbo spools up very low in the RPM range, and it gets you out of any situation you need to be out of. So just to sort of conclude our test drive, and the whole video for that matter, the Q5 is just a great daily driver. You know, it's the price increase hasn't hit it for 2023. You know, it was a sort of significant price increase for the 22 model year, but it didn't really go up all that much for 23. So it's a pretty good value for the money. You know, you have plenty of features in here. The Premium Plus is really the model to get, because you have adaptive cruise control, you know, 360 view, the Bang & Olufsen speakers are now standard. That's really just the model to get, and it's really not all that expensive. You see, this particular model is just under $57,000, and for that you get quite a bit of car. You know, very comfortable, plenty of power, and just, you know, a lot of features, and a very comfortable car. That pretty much does it for this review and test drive of the Audi Q5 for 2023. Make sure you stay with us here at Tide Drives, and I hope you have enjoyed the Q5 just as much as I have.